Hello everyone, it's Zakes and welcome to my top 5 mystical sword wielders. These are characters who wield swords whose main selling point is the mystical, magical or supernatural aspect of either the sword or the wielder in whatever form it may come. If you're looking for more down-to-earth swordplay, then try my top 5 skilled sword wielders list. Now, the mysticness has to emanate, be enhanced or be channeled through the sword for them to qualify. They have to have some connection to the character in their story in some way, and the sword must be more than an accessory. How the sword and the character work together is essential, and thus there must be some relationship between them, shown by themselves or by the commentary of other characters. The swords do not necessarily need to be used as such or stay in that form, as long as the base materialization is that of a sword. If you don't see someone you felt was supposed to be featured, then either I simply forgot or I haven't watched the anime and would love your suggestions. And just before we start, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one, and also, if you want to, you may support my Patreon campaign as well. There are, among other things, podcasts of me responding to your comments and freestyle anime reviews. Now, without further ado, let's begin.
Request! Heaven's Wheel! Scatter!
Number 5 is Ursa Scarlett from Fairy Tail. She is barely on this list because I feel her qualification was diluted by her armor and the fact that the swords are not all her magic can do. However, the sheer diversity of them and the way she summons them through what is termed requipping made her enough of a contender. She sees them as tools, but it is also true that she chose each of them carefully and each has a special property that she believes was battle-worthy. She has chosen over 100 in her arsenal and she has a connection to them all. Among her favorites to use, the list not being exhaustive, are elemental swords, ones which can only be wielded with no armor, and many others she can telepathically control. She can conjure more than one and mix it up for the situation. Her skill with each shows that she gives each an amount of time to practice and made it very difficult, ever so slightly, to exclude her from this list.
Scatter.
Coming in at number 4 is the captain of the 6th division of the 13 Court Guard Squads, Byakuya Kuchiki and his Zanpakuto Senbon Sakura from the anime Bleach. Senbon Sakura has the ability to turn itself into millions of smaller blades that resemble falling cherry blossoms that Byakuya can use to cut down his opponents. It has, like all other Zanpakuto, 2 stages of release. Shikai, which is the first stage, and Bankai, which sees the wielder's personality coming through more potently. Did I also mention that the power goes up exponentially? Even when broken, Senbon Sakura has the ability to still go into Shikai and Bankai mode. It shows Byakuya's personality in that it is as cool and unfazed as Byakuya is, but at the same time proud, majestic, and very dangerous. I found Byakuya and Senbon Sakura to be the best character and sword combination in Bleach because their strengths and weaknesses were explored more than those of others and not as overpowered as someone else I won't mention, Ichigo.
You doubt my abilities, do you? Why don't you judge them for yourself? Spirit Sword!
Number 3 is Kazuma Kuwabara and the sword that is a manifestation of his spirit energy from the anime Yu Hakusho. Initially, he needs a conduit to materialize it, but as time goes on, he learns to do so from thin air, proving his own personal growth and that of his power. He eventually gets to the point where he is able to determine its length and size and even its shape. His psychological state determines its strength and even whether or not he can call it forth in the first place. This relationship between him and his sword keeps him safely on this list, even though he could arguably be considered the weakest character listed here. If you look at its form, which is pretty haphazard and jagged, it reflects his own personality, which is rough and rugged but powerful. And it seems he and his sword both watched the movie called The Human Centipede because they did this at some stage. And no, it's not a recommendation. Watch at your own risk. You have been warned. It's not my fault if you get psychologically damaged.
Never fear! I am Kuwabara! I have come here for you, and with my sensitive iron big shiny sword, I will save you. Then we can date, right?
Please, go away!
Coming in at number 2 is Rin Okumura from the anime Blue Exorcist. He wields the Koma sword, also known as Kurikara. What's so mystical about this blade is simply that Rin is the son of the devil and the blade holds his demonic heart. When he unsheaths his sword, he is engulfed in blue hell flames. At first, he burns everything around him, but as time goes on, he learns to control what the flames burn, with his sword being the medium. The emotion he feels most when he releases his sword at any given time appears to overwhelm him until he sheaths his sword again, be it anger or his wish to protect. But to be honest, in the beginning, his connection to his sword is not highlighted that much, which made me think of placing him at number 5 instead. But as the series progresses, you realize that their connection is deliberately understated but powerful. We see that he is initially forced to keep his powers under wraps, and his sword's sheath is what is used to accomplish this end. This is the perfect metaphor for his relationship with others, as it shows that keeping the secret keeps his heart closed, and as more people find out about him, his heart also opens up. Another disclaimer would be that the first and second seasons of this anime are inconsistent with each other. But this did not ruin his position for me, as I felt that even though the sword and Rin did not do much together, it was necessary in order to explore his personality and eventual acceptance of himself.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Slashing their way to number 1 is the half-human, half-demon Inuyasha and his sword Tensaiga, which was inherited from his demon father from the anime Inuyasha. Tensaiga was forged from his demon father's fang and is the subject of contention between Inuyasha and his older brother Sesshomaru. The sword has 3 amazing abilities, being 1. The capability of creating what is called a wind scar that can destroy 100 demons with one swing. 2. The power to repel demonic attacks back at his enemies, and 3. The ability to absorb and use the powers of very powerful demons. The sword also suppresses Inuyasha's demonic side. Tensaiga's evolution is not only tied to Inuyasha's physical state and practice, but also to the evolution of his own mind. The more he opens up and embraces his humanity, the more the sword evolves. While Naraku, the main antagonist of the show, does the same by consuming his victims to gain their powers, Inuyasha defeats his foes and himself in order to give his sword more power and abilities. In fact, he has quite the history with his sword. It started rocky.
This thing's about as useful as a walking stick!
But they get used to each other and work together for so long that they end up being essential to each other.
Nobody dares to step on my sword and lives to tell about it.
But what really cements everything together is the fact that the sword can also be seen as a father's wishes for his son. A son he never had much time to spend with, but does so through the sword and what it teaches him. And what does Inuyasha learn? Humanity, as his father had also learned before him.
There's no one who can beat me now. I dare anyone to stop me.
Inuyasha! Sit, boy!
One victory and he thinks he's invincible.
And those are my top 5 mystical sword wielders. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you please comment, like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Don't forget that your comments may be responded to in my next podcast on my Patreon page. Also, don't forget to vote on the poll for upcoming character appraisals on the same platform. Until the next video, I am Zakes and take care.